Originally in English, April 2023. What I understand is that in the terrestrial equations, there is a huge amount of mass missing in the universe because their mathematical formulas do not add up. It happens that in their equations about the necessary equilibrium for the stars to function, with all their dynamics among themselves, a lot of mass is missing. That is, the stars should not behave the way they do. So, in the physics of the Earth, this is taken as dark matter that fills in and explains the missing mass. On the premise that if astrophysics is based on mathematics, then there must be missing mass somewhere. Now, it's not that some mass is missing. It's missing something like 99.9% of the mass of the universe, according to their equations. But I don't have the exact percentages because I'm speaking from memory. That's dark matter in a nutshell. Now, my explanation of what's going on there with that. It's very simple. They are only calculating the part that is understandable by 3D 10-base mathematics and with the formulas of sacred scholars like Einstein that are wrong in everything because they use two constants in their formulas that are wrong. And if one constant in a formula is wrong, all calculations based on them will be wrong too. The two wrong constants are: 1. The speed of light. It is not fixed and turns out to be the most flexible and difficult thing to calculate that there can be. It is only understood as a constant from within the Earth and within 3D because of the temporal perception agreements between the inhabitants there. 2. The universal gravitation constant. As with light, gravity is not a constant either and varies as much as light, for basically the same reason. Both are symptom or subproducts of something much more complex. In the case of gravity, it is a high-frequency flow or current in the ether, and it is not just a gravitational frequency since, like light, there is a whole range of gravitational frequencies that human science has simply not detected yet. If they don't know what gravity is yet, they are not going to know that there's a whole range of frequencies within gravity itself. And they have everything basically backwards. Since on Earth, a large mass object is said to have or produce gravity, when itself there is a large concentration of mass at a point in space because that is where there is a concentration of gravity, which is what causes the mass, not the other way around. However, yes, there is some truth to dark matter. The equations they are using to calculate that missing mass, while primitive and mostly wrong, do point to something true that human science is only beginning to try to understand. The great missing mass is because they are not taking into account the other existential densities and parallel worlds that are intertwined with the 3D perception accepted world of Earth science. That is the cause of the missing mass. And yes, of course there is missing mass. That is the cause of the missing mass. And it's even logical to see that mass missing once you understand densities and all that.
So, dark matter is related to gravity, right?
Everything that is matter is a byproduct of gravity, which in itself is a symptom that there is a large concentration of creative consciousness.
Well, scientists will never accept that. They don't even believe in reincarnation.
Not with that mentality, not with that mathematics. They still have to understand that there are things that, although they are there, are impossible to calculate and prove. They make the terrible mistake that if science cannot reproduce and understand it, then it does not exist, being that science is only a reflection of the reduced mentality of those who developed and apply it. Questions from the audience. Is dark matter the ether? There is no direct answer, because the definition of ether is somewhat vague, on Earth at least. But in itself, since everything is ether, yes, it is. Dark matter is ether, yes. But normal matter is ether too. Everything is ether. And it is only the experience of the beholder that sets one thing apart from the other. Dark matter is everything that humans can't measure that is there as mass that interferes and influences objects and energy, but cannot be directly observed. It is only known to be there because it produces effects. Here, dark matter is confused with dark energy, which in itself is more of the same, since matter and energy are the same. But humans do distinguish it as two different things, but ironically, they produce the same effects, so the distinction is useless. I mention it only because the classification does exist on Earth. An example of dark matter on Earth are neutrinos. But scientists say that although they are, neutrinos are not the cause of all dark matter and its effects, because they are few and scarce and could not cause that much missing mass in the universe. What they don't see or don't know is that neutrino is only one frequency within a gravity flow. Dark matter, then, and just like dark energy, the same, I explain it simply as everything that exists that is not within the scope of measurement and perception understanding of human science. And its undeniable existence, even within the parameters of human science, demonstrates the existence of other densities.
Thank you. Could the frequency of dark matter be modified or changed through consciousness?
The universe is consciousness. But speaking of consciousness as a perception coming from a being with ego, yes. Because whether or not someone perceives dark matter is only because of his range of perception and understanding. For example, since dark matter is everything that is beyond the measurable comprehension of human science, the ghosts and the paranormal has a strong component of dark matter or dark energy, this only as a logical deduction. Okay, and what does it have to do with antimatter? That's something else. Antimatter is not dark matter. That is normal matter, but with the energetic charge and frequency opposite to normal matter. It's like the same thing in a mirror. What has a positive charge in antimatter will have a negative charge and vice versa, and with the exact opposite values. For example, if an atomic particle has a value of 45 energy units, as many as you like, its antiparticle will have minus 45 energy units. But it is a bit more complex, because in an atom you have positive and negative charge values. In antimatter, the charge values are reversed. So if you have plutonium and anti-plutonium, they will have to neutralize each other perfectly, because the opposite charges attract each other, thus causing a brutal release of energy. Many non-human races use antimatter reactors, where a small amount of each is administered to achieve a very strong but controlled release of energy. This is still nuclear fuel, but does not produce much ionizing radiation. However, it is technology that is inferior to 0 point, as such antimatter reactors still need to be refueled. Antimatter has the horrible tendency to annihilate as soon as it comes in contact with normal matter. The thing is that it is easily confused with dark matter because they share similar qualities. However, in terms of the strict definition of matter and its energetic qualities of atomic and subatomic charges, antimatter is still matter and not dark matter.
So you can cross antimatter?
Yes, but it comes in small quantities. But civilizations can concentrate it in sufficient quantities to be of practical use in reactors. But dark matter is also matter, isn't it? Only in another density of perception. You mean that antimatter is still matter within our range of observable density, only inverted and annihilable? Yes, but that definition of yours, that it is also matter, would be from the point of view of a civilization that is able to navigate normal and dark matter, and therefore sees both only as matter. Civilization like that I get. I understand, yes, not from the terrestrial stance.
Interesting. And can antimatter be stored? Can dark matter be stored as well?
Antimatter can be stored in a vacuum and with an artificial gravity source. Yes. Dark matter cannot be stored because it is a perception. It is not a quality of matter itself, as is the case with antimatter. That is, if you can manipulate dark matter, it stops being dark and becomes more matter. So my answer is yes, but it would not be dark matter anymore. Antimatter is like the reverse world. It is related. Okay, and the question, if dark matter means other densities, does it also include low astral worlds, archons, etc.? Yes. As I described above, yes, because dark matter is everything that is there. It produces mass, but it is not measurable by human science. Lastly, something very important to mention. Dark matter is a description or a term only used and recognized by human science. For the star races, it is simply other densities. But on the other hand, antimatter is recognized by the star races. They even produce reactors that use it.
dark matter is the potential energy we have to generate our manifestations?
Dark matter is everything that human science knows is there but cannot measure. So, strictly speaking, they understand dark matter on Earth as something in space that causes light to distort, as it does with proximity to a large mass. But they cannot know what it is because it doesn't behave like a black hole, for example, but it's just there, getting in the way and distorting everything. So they can't agree on what it is. So I can't say what it is with their terms. But using pure logic, and with what I know with non-human technology and science, I conclude that dark matter is everything that is there, but humans do not recognize more than its effects, not what it is. So it includes everything paranormal and the ether. And I see the potential energy of the ether as the so-called dark energy. Thank you, Yazhi. But it is interesting that they have noticed that there is something there that influences matter. How did they manage to notice it? It is definitely the influence of the other densities that is causing the distortion that the scientists on Earth are measuring, but they don't know what it is. Because it is bending the passage of light coming from the objects behind.
Yes, the curious thing is that they noticed it, or someone non-human told them that it existed.
They can measure, but they don't know what it is. And they know that there is a lot of that they don't know what it is. That's why they called it dark matter.
But it's not like a portal, is it?
No.
But I think you can cross it, can't you?
If they arrived at the site in a ship, they would find nothing, because it would not be in their density. However, it is still distorting the light passing through. And why does it do that? Why does it distort the light? Because all mass is a product of the gravity that is in place. And that gravity pushes light in the direction of its flow, thereby distorting the motion vector of its initial passage. Light is in multiple densities at the same time. It is part of its characteristics. It only manifests itself in one or the other at other wavelengths, since the densities are just that, different wavelengths and frequencies.
But it would have some form?
They represent it as a sphere, but actually they are like blobs of something with mass, from the point of view of human science perception. Okay, and Yazhi, I have this question. I don't know what you think about it. President and professor of physics at Maharishi International University in the USA says string theory predicts the existence of dark matter, and it decays and interacts weakly with our regular matter electrically. He is suggesting this could also be what subtle matter and subtle bodies are made of, and provides an explanation for what we tend to call the 5D world. Interpenetrates with ours, every bit as complex, potentially maybe more so, and interacts like a superfluid or superconductor. Would this fit that I get in view? Although I would have to study everything the professor says, and taking away string theory, which even on Earth is full of inconsistencies and holes, yes, they are on their way to detect that dark matter is itself a telltale of the existence of other densities. Superfluid, yes, as we have said, the ether is a fluid and space behaves like a fluid.
In dark matter, are there also timelines?
It is an inseparable fabric. You cannot separate one from the other, but it depends on the point of view of the consciousness that is generating and experiencing those other densities. Okay, I have another question. If the soul is source frequency, how does the electromagnetic spectrum utilize dark matter? Electromagnetic spectrum applied to dark matter sounds to me like asking if last night's hamburgers are affected by dark matter. Dark matter ceases to be dark matter the moment you define a property, since that is when it stops being dark and starts to have a property. That is, it starts to be something. Okay, and this one? What is the relationship between magic, dark arts, and dark matter? Is it possible to manipulate dark matter? It's just that all those questions are based on the false premise that dark matter is something. It is not antimatter. Dark matter is something that is only known to exist but not known what it is, and only from the point of view of human science, because, as I explained yesterday, it is not recognized as existing by the sciences of advanced interstellar societies. Magic is not manipulating dark matter, but it is magic itself that has causes and properties that human science does not recognize. Therefore, I, Yazhi, conclude that that is also dark matter. Since human science only applies the existence of dark matter to objects in space and to very large spatial areas, not to the witch's marmite.
So, dark matter is something changeable?
No, that is a property. Dark matter just is.
Does it have to do with those monoliths that are in space?
Only because they come from what human science does not understand, therefore from dark matter. So the ESP, extrasensory perception, would also be dark matter, although not for human science, since for them it is something concrete in space. Yes, but I insist that this is a classification of dark matter that I, Yazhi, extended, and not what human science understands by dark science. But Yazhi relied on the human definition to include all aspects that by logic would have to be dark matter as well. Yes, I understand. And this question. Dark matter is described as an unknown particle that interacts with gravity and can deflect light, as in the case of black holes. In the case of black holes, what is actually deflecting the light? I have never seen dark matter described as a particle in a human science. Therefore, my answer is no, because if it were a particle, it would mean that it is something specific, when the only thing that defines dark matter is that it is there, not knowing what it is. Yes, and what is it that bends the light in black hole? Black hole is black hole, point of great mass and singularity. It is not dark matter. And what bends light is gravity. Okay, and look at this question, Yazhi. Could dark matter consist of all the energy that has not materialized but is energy before and during the formation of matter? Good question. Although dark matter is not defined, and being that dark matter and dark energy are the same, matter, energy, yes. What happens is that the part of the other densities that is affecting the observable and measurable density from the point of view of human science is leaking into the material world accepted by humans. But as I explained before, dark matter is all the other densities. However, since everything is a range of frequencies, it is those that are closest to the frequencies that make up the human observable world that are peeking through and affecting the light that scientists observe. Therefore, yes, what is there as dark matter from the human point of view is itself something in the process of materialization, or something almost in the same frequency as the material world accepted by humans. In the process of materialization. So it would not be something not yet manifested in the form of just energy, or that too. Or that unmanifested something would not be affecting so much, for lack of proximity, as you say. For example, entities of very high densities without form would also be part of dark matter, no? It is something almost in the material world, and at only a small range of vibrational frequency difference. And yes, high frequency entities would have to be in the part that humans would call dark matter.
The Ouija board too?
Not the board, that's just wood and plastic. The thing that moves the pointer piece, yes. I insist that dark matter should not be taken as something. Its only quality is to exist without being defined as something in particular. As scientists on Earth defined dark matter as something that shows that science still has a lot to learn. Dark matter would obviously also include all parallels, not only of higher densities but even 3D, but alternate, because that would also be another density of perception in the end, yes? Yes, being that those are all just ranges of perception of someone with consciousness, yes, being that there is nothing but consciousness.
So, for other species like the Taigetans or Swaroos, it's not called dark matter.
No, they are just other densities. I mean, for the science of interstellar civilizations, that concept does not exist, because dark matter is explained and analyzed and defined as other densities. Even if you don't have conscious access to them, right? Just knowing that they exist. Yes, so it is an example of the abysmal difference between the understanding and the level of interstellar science and human science. See, this person got it right. Perhaps Yazhi can tell us her thoughts that humans on Earth only may perceive about 4 or at least less than 10% of reality, and the other, more than 90%, is considered dark matter. I wonder if this is a reasonable way to describe dark matter. Yes, exactly. Just that reality as perceived by humans is closer to 3%. Thank you, Yazhi. And someone asks, how is antimatter created? In the same way with which normal matter is created. It is just a reversal of its qualities or values, including those of electric potentials in its subatomic components.
But how do you find it? You have to catch the matter first to get the antimatter from it. It's on another plane, isn't it? The antimatter?
It can be created in the laboratory, but I don't know if on Earth. Here it is easy with a molecular replicator. Generally, antimatter is not next to normal matter because if it comes in contact with its counterpart with opposite charge, they annihilate each other.
So it's on another plane.
No, it's in the same plane. That's why antimatter is dangerous, and that's why it has a tendency to self-annihilate. Antimatter is not the reverse world. That's something else, isn't it? It is not the reverse world, that's right. They are two different things. However, a reverse world can be composed of antimatter. Why do they annihilate each other? Because a charge of energy of one polarity will tend to pass to the opposite. That's why electricity works. Same principle.
What people don't understand is how antimatter is generated and where it is found, and how it gets stored, and things like that.
Antimatter is found naturally in patches in space, and they are dangerous, but they are isolated. If they come in contact with normal matter, there will be a very strong energy release. It is stored in controlled gravity, floating without being able to touch anything, and in absolute vacuum. It is very dangerous.
But how can you find the antimatter of an object on Earth? Where would it be? In space?
In space. On Earth, it is difficult for it to exist because normal matter dominates. Opposite charges neutralize each other. That's why antimatter is dangerous. It's as simple as that. Thank you, Yazhi. I have a few more questions. What implications could the knowledge of dark matter have for humanity? At first glance, it sounds irrelevant. How does the presence of dark matter affect humanity? Just more knowledge filed away in physics books? If you think about what it truly means to not only know that dark matter is there, but to understand what it is, it would bring a total revolution on Earth in every possible way and form, as well as the total collapse of paradigms of thoughts and understanding of what reality is, because it would imply the acceptance of other densities and other realities parallel to the physics that is understood on Earth as the only one, since the others are only theories so far. What it would cause is an awakening of all humanity to the fact that they are much more than bags of meat. That is to say, they would move away in understanding of reality from the deterministic, materialistic part of it towards an elevation of consciousness that would bring with it an elevation of existential density. If they understood well what dark matter means, it would bring a very strong awakening.